Mm-hmm. What's up? And he gives me nothing. See, this is why it's worthless. I say, "What's up?" He just sits there staring incoherently, doesn't say words.
The first time I had to hit the button.
Hey, you could see my mouth moving.
I didn't hear it. That's why I had to wait for you to do it again so I could watch.
See, white people. We have a lot of problems.
Technical problems, especially.
Yeah, we have a lot of those, especially this early in the morning. I don't care what anyone says. I don't care how many years I woke up and was out the door by 4 to go wake up other grown-ass men at 4:30 because heaven forbid we could just charge them when they didn't show up for work. Page 11, page 11, page 11, go yourself. Guess what? People would stop showing up late, but I don't care how many years I did that. I haven't in 10. So waking up that early in the morning.
I remember being late and the party was still there. Whew. Never
Yeah.
get that.
It's so please stop telling people over once in the way you did it for all those years a decade ago.
Back when my body still functioned properly.
I didn't like it then. I don't like it now. I'm not getting paid nearly enough to wake up that early for nothing. So there. And before we go, shout out to Ashley Lana and her show Lullaby, the Fear podcast on Good Pods. Want to know why? Because I went on there to check one out, just to see. Saw her name pop up in my thing, liked a bunch of our racing shows and stuff. And it hooked me in. Like, I think I was through like 4 or 5. I even turned off Assassin's Creed to listen to it so I could actually pay attention. So good on her. On Good Pods, Spotify, has an Instagram page, good stuff. So if you're into true crime stuff, something that's kind of gory, creep, like one of them was really, really creepy. Amazing story, but creepy as that thing was trippy. But good stuff. So if you haven't listened to it, find it, do it, because it's worth it. And really today I'm just going after, you got election stuff, kind of hit on inflation, but then there's just a bunch of just random conversations we could have just about, because there's so many dumb little things that happen. There's not really any big, none of the big stuff's come out yet, numbers wise or anything like that. We're still waiting on all kinds of findings to come out because heaven forbid they can get it done. And it's only the 15th. I think we're still 3 or 4 days away from getting any of those numbers. I don't know how.
Order numbers will come between tomorrow and Monday.
Because they know how many days they know, you're keeping track every day. If you tell us,
they know.
Every day you can give us numbers, but yet somehow you can't put out the total number I'll never understand why they need that. But
that technical statement I made, we have technical issues.
They have all kinds of technical issues.
To fall back on people because that's one of those scenarios where you have the numbers. You're telling me you couldn't send somebody in and spend 20 minutes on the computer on Monday morning after the first of the month and go, okay, compile.
Hey,
really?
You can code. We've done it before on spreadsheets in Excel where you can set it so you just plug the numbers in and it does all the math for you.
Auto-sum.
You don't even have to do anything. You just punch them in every day. It does the rest for you. It's not that hard, but that again, none of the numbers are out yet, minus inflation, which I still think they're lying, but that's another story. So yeah, lots of random stuff. Oh, and thank you to Jen. She gave us our first supporter financially every month. By the way, Jen, if you actually are listening to this, seeing the last name Mulford popped up blew my mind. So I actually had to go and type in, figure out who the hell it was, because I'm still not used to not seeing Timmerman on there. So thank you for with my head at way too early in the morning. I appreciate that dearly. But whenever you want to get into elections, your thoughts on everything, because I'm sure you have a lot of numbers from a lot of stupid, even though somehow we still don't have results from people that did their primaries 4 or 5 weeks ago, which is terrifying. But I wonder why people have no faith in anything. You can't even figure out a primary in 2 months. We were talking about this, some of these, in one of the first 2, 3 of these that we did. That's why this is number 10, everybody. 7 or 8 weeks, and we're still waiting for some of these. That's absurd.
And on top of it, if what I know education wise and what I've seen in the past is true and comes true in this situation, it's probably more than likely to go to a hand recount, which means it'll be another month added on, if not 5 weeks more added on before we get the results.
Yeah, right around there, sadly, but just why, again, I think
And
everything they say they're doing to fix everything is making everything 1,000 times worse.
Exactly. You're not fixing things when you have to have people come to you and go, this is extremely failing. We should probably change this, but it just doesn't ever happen.
Although they change it to make it worse.
Exactly. Everybody degraded Georgia's voting laws and everything. But if you were to go through voting laws state by state, I don't know if I'm gonna word this right, but I'm gonna say when it comes to voting regulations, Georgia's pretty liberal with their options.
Yeah, they're way better than a lot of hell. They're better off than the state they moved the MLB All-Star game to, being Colorado. They're way better than Colorado, who got the All-Star game, even like when it comes to that, even though allegedly Georgia's a bunch of racists, even though they have more voting days and stuff than you do in Colorado or Delaware. Anyway, by the way, there's Joe Biden. Good plug to the president.
Yep.
He's been doing their fighting, and we need to make better laws and stuff for elections. Like your elections I'm pretty sure you guys don't even have like early in-person voting in Delaware, Joe. Like you guys don't have anything. So let's just do that whole pot and kettle thing. Carry on.
To the list of states, Texas had a special election last night for District 1.
I heard about that.
Maya Flores. Who?
Didn't see anything come out. I didn't look, for being honest. I was
she won.
Her mom made some dope fajitas.
I foresee her not having a problem beating the Democrat nominee down there come November. But with that being said, we'll move into the first one on the list is Maine. So for the governor, we have Janet Mills took with no opposition the Democratic slot. For Republican, Paul LePage took in 100% of the votes. That was for governor. U.S. House, we have for District 1. Butchered this name. I knew I should have looked it up again last night. Anyways, I'm pretty sure it's Shelley Pingree. Just look it up. It does not have an S1 in it. She took the nominee for District 1 for Democrat. Republican was Ed Philander. He took 100% of the votes. Then we move into the state Senate seats for District 1, which we were.
So did Joe Biden at 4:30 in the morning. The day after elections, he took 100% of those several million ballots. Anyway, I'll never forget that meme because I was still awake.
Speaking of that, before I go any farther on this Maine stuff, I do have a statement to make about that.
God damn.
The other day, I believe it was the former Attorney General for the United States. I think that is who it was. No, it wasn't the former. It was one of the dudes that was under William Barr. He was out and he testified that there was no evidence of boxes of ballots being counted that should not have been counted. I'm sorry, if you put a box of ballots next to somebody's feet and you're going to consider those ballots that are under that table official, I have a problem because that custody is not legit. Once that box is filled, it should get sealed and then go away for counting.
I don't even care about any of that. I mean,
well, I do. There was no evidence.
I know they're saying there's no evidence of like fraud anywhere, and like people have legit been arrested and gone to jail.
Thank you.
For committing ballot harvesting and fraud and all kinds of stuff like since it happened. So when they all get up there and say there's no evidence of anything, it might not be widespread. It only might have been here and there, but there's no shit people sitting in jail right now for different forms of fraud when it comes to ballots. And that's across the whole entire government. I'm not just calling out one group of people here. There's scumbags all over the place. But exactly. anyone that tells me that many hundreds of thousands of ballots across like 3 or 4 battleground states and no one else gets one, like no one got another one with, I have a problem believing that. And when you're watching legit videos in, was it Fulton County, Georgia, or, the one where Atlanta is, where all the stupid happened, like when they have stacks of mail-in ballots that don't have a single crease in them at all, I don't care if you have to crease that up, you can put cinder blocks on top of the thing, but it's not flattening back out perfectly ever. So there was some stupid. If they weren't stupid, they wouldn't have been covering up the windows, which is
not just that. If there was no legitimate proof, the state of Michigan would not still be litigating this in court.
There's no legitimate proof. People wouldn't be fighting.
Judges, when some of these judges involved up here, if it wasn't legitimate, the judge would have done and said,
"What are those things called?
Have a nice day."
What are those things called? Audits. Like if there was legit, how come every time anyone brings up an audit, everyone's going, no, can't do that. Like, well, if there's 100% legit, them auditing everything means it should come back perfectly fine. You fighting it just to prove that it's 100% legit, that terrifies me, regardless of which side does it. Because again, we're not calling out single people. It happens. There's people that try to do scummy things all over, no matter what party they're with. And anyone, no matter where you are, that fights them auditing it to prove that it was 100% legit, I'm sorry, that's some sketchy stuff going on.
Well,
you can do it in a week and be done.
Right along the lines of that, though, Ski, right along that line, exactly what you just said. If it was 100% legit, why wouldn't they want you to verify?
Yeah, why wouldn't you want to be proven 100% unequivocally to shut everyone up?
Okay, sorry. Anyways, we off topic.
Hey, random conversations. What I'm here for sidebar. I'm here for sidebars today. Damn it.
Back to Maine. State Senate District 1. Troy Jackson took 100% of the votes for Democratic.
I'm sorry.
Republican. 100% of the votes were taken by Susan Bernard.
Whatever happened to names like that where you don't have to think about how to pronounce it? You can just go. Feel bad for Tom Helmick.
On their state side, Toby Jandrew took District 1 Democrat. Austin Thoreau. Sorry, I have it on auto refresh because of voting.
Well, just go through as fast as you can with what is it screwing up.
All right. Here we go. Last time. Then the Republican was Austin Thoreau at 100% of the votes for District 1. Then that is the end of Maine. Moving on to...
Shout out to Top Helmick. It was me, Booten, Bissonette, and Holtberg. And Sturdivant showed up and he went, what the ever happened to just Smith? Like, what the fuck? Like, that's a great, first 10 minutes in the building. What the fuck is this?
And then we got... Maybe.
Awkward silence.
Yeah. Go ahead and talk for a minute. I'm letting it load. Lovely infrastructure.
I am for real. I'm not going to try to do any more of that.
There we go.
I'm not butchering the beautiful song.
Moving to Nevada. Here we go. All right. So we have, where's the governor at here on this one? Here we go. So for governor in Nevada, Steve Sisolak took all of it, not all of it, sorry, 88.69% of the votes for Democratic nomination. Republican was Joe Lombardo with 35.97 votes of all Republican votes. To move on, Secretary of State for Nevada. This is something that's going to be kind of important in the future. The gentleman for Republican is Jim Marchant was the winner. He took 37.97 votes. And then obviously Republican is already, or Democrat is already there. U.S. House. They had 3-4 districts up for grabs. You had for the Democratic nomination for first district is, there you go, Dina Titus. And moving on to District 2, the Republican was Mark Hamodi. There was no Democrat. Nevada, U.S. House was for District 3, April Becker. District 4, this is another one of those that I'm not quite sure how this adds up, but this is not decided yet. Too close to call. Sam Peters and Annie Black are the two facing off right now for the Republican nomination. There's only a couple thousand votes separate. Moving on to Senate for District 2. They had a race for Republican nomination, and it appears that it's going to be another one that's going to have to be counted over again because they didn't decide anything. Then moving to North Dakota. Lovely North Dakota. Come on now. Load a little faster. There we go. All right. So they had some state seats up and then some Senate and some House seats. We have for Senate, Republican was John Hoeven. He took 78.38% of the votes. Katrina Christensen, she took 76.71% for the Democratic nomination. Then moving into the House, Kelly Armstrong took 100% of the Republican. Mark Hogan took 100% of Democrat. Then last but not least, South Kakalaki.
Good state.
Huh?
Beautiful state.
It is. I like that state a lot. So for the governors, Republican slot was taken by Henry McMaster with 83.28% of the votes. Democratic slot was taken by Joe Cunningham with 56.55% of the votes.
Tell that guy to get a new name. I know a Joe Cunningham. That's all I have to say. That's all I have to say about Joe Cunningham.
Tim Scott is incumbent Republican going for that win for Senate. He's being challenged by Democratic nominee of a runoff race between Catherine Fleming Bruce and Crystal Matthews.
Yeah, when you have to do a runoff, just try to get your but
for the Democrats.
Yeah, it's like infighting. Theoretically, I mean, what, you guys couldn't even figure out which horse to support, so you just screw it. Both of you go. Tim Scott's he should win.
Yeah,
he gave the best rebuttal I think I've heard in a very long time, and he responded to old Joe. Was it last year?
Yeah.
And then Twitter and Facebook suddenly didn't notice Uncle Tim trending on Twitter and Facebook and all that's like number one. It's an Uncle Tom reference. So I put out an article about someone on their side doing something stupid. We get noticed before we hit like submit. Like that racial stuff's putting around for Tim Scott. He was on there for like 8-9 hours, I think. No one, well, we didn't notice it. Really? Not you notice when I tried to post something. The second I do it, I'm getting red flags thrown up at me.
Right.
But that many million people did that. And by the way, that many million of people doing that are also the same people that say that we're all racist.
So for the House seats
in case anyone's confused.
District 1, Nancy Mace, she came out on top for Republican slot with 53.12% of the votes.
And that was close.
Then District 5 for Democratic spot was Evangeline Hunley with 57.6% of the votes. And then last but not least, District 7, incumbent Tom Rice was taken out of the Republican slot by Russell Fry, backed by Donald Trump.
Oh, that was that last? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
I just saw something
just a side note, kind of a shout out. The guy that Trump backed against Tom Rice, the reason he didn't back Tom Rice was one of the 10 Republicans that voted to impeach Donald Trump.
By the way, people, the mere fact that I'm not a QAnon person or don't follow the Proud Boys or Antifa or any of them, and the fact that I knew it was happening 2 days before January 6th happened means they all knew it was coming before January 6th happened. So and then they all voted to impeach him, the day after it happened? Like suddenly they had articles of impeachment right away, and they all, even though they knew it was coming, they impeached him
the next day, and then 2 days later,
they impeached him for inciting all of that with his words, even though the pipe bombs were planned the night before.
Yep. Interesting, is it not?
And they all knew it was coming, which means it couldn't be because of his words. But don't tell that to anyone on the left, because they'll just scream at you and say he can't do anything wrong. So he does a lot of shit wrong. Trust me. Every Trump supporter I know has very, very harsh things to say about him on certain topics, where we're all sitting there going, shut the fuck up. It's the people on the left that are now saying that nothing that ever happens is Joe Biden's fault and nothing's happening. We're all crazy. We're all conspiracy theorists. We're all everything. Like, guess what? He's doing a lot of things wrong. You guys can't admit one. Donald Trump was getting his head taken off for years by even all of us. I don't know a single Trump supporter that doesn't have anything mean to say about him. Because guess what? He did some stuff that made you scratch your dome piece, but
he said stuff that made me frustrated, but I still supported him because he was a better choice than the ones available.
Yeah.
On a side note, with the election stuff, before I forget to say this is where people need to get involved with their local elections, get out there and say, look, we want individuals from our municipality counting the ballots. We don't want an outfit or a group or an NGO or anything along those lines from another place coming in here and doing our counting. Legitimacy is lost the moment you have an outside entity controlling your elections inside of a different entity.
Yeah. They're yours. Do them.
Exactly. Even if it's only 5 old people from your municipality that does it. Make sure all parties involved are from the municipality the voting is being done in.
Find me. I'll count every single one of them. I bet you'll do it faster than any of those machines ever could. I'll sit there and I will stare at those boxes like a son of a bitch. And I will hurl people. And I will hurl people out of the building if I have to.
And my other part of it is I also think they have what do they call the people from each party that comes in there and watches?
Well,
I remember what their names.
The observer, really. I mean,
the observers. I feel like when you have observers, there should be one from each party only. So if you have a guy running for Republican, sorry, I'm gonna phrase that. If you have a guy or a woman running for Republican, and then a guy or a woman running for Democrat,
an individual, and a guy or a woman
running for incumbent, yes, you should have one individual from each party to be elected from there to oversee it. No more than one, and you should never have 0.
And by the way,
unless there's nobody from that party, like an independent. A lot of elections, sometimes locally, there's not independent.
And by the way, having them stand 10 plus feet away, they ain't gonna see shit. But I have my glasses on, 65 inches of TV.
I do want to.
There's still some stuff that I can't read on the TV when it's this big from 10 feet. How the hell do you think they're going to read anything on this? Posted way to go over there to make sure nothing's stupid on it. Like, well, that's it's physically impossible.
Because I have to give a shout out to Marshall Township.
Do it under it.
Like, because when I was still living over there and I was voting through there, when I voted, they had guards. Let's start there. Guards, security, whatever you want to call them, at each door. And then when you get through the door, and this is in an older farm community where there's no real crime there, like legit, no real crime at all. Maybe this stupid thing here and there, but nothing like any other city in the state of Michigan, the Lower Peninsula, anyways, moving on from that. When I was there voting the last time, then you go up to your booth, or not to the booth, sorry. You get up to the counter when you come in. There's 3 ladies sitting there and another guy sitting there, right? Those 4 are taking people in, and there's an observer, security guard, wherever he is, standing directly behind him, like in the middle of the 2 center people between them, behind him, literally. Like if he breathed the wrong way, they might get spit on. And with that being said, you move from there, you go to your voter's booth, which those are all slotted off. So you don't have you have a guard over there, but they don't have something necessarily like eagle eyeing you. But then you go to the machine. They have one machine. Everybody goes through that one machine. And then the one machine is guarded by observers, which one from each party. So those 2, Republican, Democrat. And then you also have another security guy that stands there and does this and watches. Trust me, you can't sneak anything corrupt by them people in Marshall. I'm not saying they're necessarily the best. There might be a better way to do it with less people.
No,
but
I didn't have
there's works, and that's an example of how it could be.
I was at the Commons. We didn't have anything fancy like that. I mean, we had one machine, and there was people that.
No, I'm just. But there's a lot more money than the average city too. I want to give that. I have to say that Marshall has a lot of money. So
yeah, so does Jacksonville.
I don't know, man. A lot of money in Marshall.
Yeah, well,
I'm not saying there isn't money because of a base. That's a whole different story. But if you exclude that base, the money is not there.
Yeah, but lots of money. All the businesses here, but it just keeps getting bigger. And granted, I mean, there's a lot of different places to vote here in Jacksonville. I imagine we have more than Marshall does because we got.
Oh, you have a lot more people.
Commons building. We got the Potter's house. We got churches. We got like a million places to vote here, so I can understand how that's
it's one of the fewer bigger cities. Or sorry, I said that the wrong way. I was going the wrong way. Marshall is one of those cities that's not necessarily the biggest in people, but when it comes to their structures and their everything that runs the city, and then the money that comes in, all that, the system is pristine and better than most large communities by far.
Oh, that wouldn't surprise me. For some reason, the bigger it is,
the dumber it gets.
The worse everything runs and functions. Ain't it the truth? Say it ain't so.
And if you want proof, an example is the Marine Corps shows up in combat with ammunition. The Army does not. I'll leave that. Not all of them, but.
And all you vets from the Army, if you're what, we're not personally picking on you. Maybe it's the 1st, the 82nd, and they showed up with John Deere's and Bowflexes in a whole woodworking shop.
I blame that on an admin thing.
And everyone drove around Al-Assad and came back late because they lost their ISO full of their rounds.
Yeah, weren't they like a day and a half late and still didn't have their rounds?
Yeah. Late, $1 short. Yeah, I wasn't thankfully on that convoy. I was on duty, which is actually probably even worse. But I got a lot of MCIs done that night because
that was
no one came back. No one. I was there forever. Sadly, now here I am.
Wiggy.
With it all in my head, like imagining our beautiful little place.
I'll never forget that.
And what I was doing that night. Well, everyone, the smoke pit back there at the gazebo. There's a gate over in the back. Like, a simpler time in life. But I'm not allowed to talk about simple times. We're not allowed to have simple times because the adults are running everything, allegedly. Remember, the adults are going to be back in charge. It's kind of like them saying that is kind of like anything that says military grade, and everyone gets all excited.
Well, and
what? I was in the Marine Corps. I saw a military grade. Not necessarily the greatest cell job ever. Military grade. Uh-oh. My cheapest bidder is what you're saying. Great. Yay.
So since we got some time for conversation here, can't have the adults running it. And then, let me back up. I'm going to use a very at-home example. You have child A and B. Child A and B goes to a public school. Child A is the older, child B is the younger. Child B gets picked on, but because of policies and the way schools work nowadays, child A can't really defend child B, or there's a shitstorm that will come out of it. Now, I don't know any adult, which would be parent A and B, mom, dad, who would ever,
or whatever combination of parent you are.
That's why I said adult. I made sure
mom and dad, dad and dad, mom and mom.
We ain't gonna go down that.
Pencil and toaster oven. I mean, whatever the hell. I mean,
whatever they want to go by that day. Anyways, moving down that road, I don't know of any good adult parent that wouldn't stand up and go, "Wait a minute. This is not how." No, you got to protect yourself. This is how we do this to protect each other. Well, my whole point is that in a family setting, the parents are what hold the structure together, the adult. Okay, so if our adults are running this country, then our adult President Joe Biden, now I'm using quotes, adult President Joe Biden. Where's he correcting stuff? Because all I see is him being an immature teenager and running our country into the ground. Oh, look at this, trillions of dollars. We probably shouldn't waste it, but let's go spend it on this. Hey, you need flight suits for pregnant women who will never see a day in combat and shouldn't even be on a plane, anything to do with combat. I'm sorry, if you're pregnant, you don't need a flight suit. should have nothing to do with flight suits if you're pregnant. Not that I'm saying there's anything wrong with pregnant women. You just don't belong in that setting. That's not a safe setting for a pregnant woman.
But it could be one of those. Remember though, they wear them like, on the air station as like normal work uniforms. So I mean, hey, it could still be one of those where if you're on here or on the deck, she could do money. She could do an office.
All of us test. They could have taken that money and bought every single person that's a veteran test to find out whether they're going to have tuberculosis, mesothelioma, any other things that stem from black mold and asbestos, because most bases have those problems. Now, granted, right now they're tearing everything down in the process, because as we've seen our own personal self. But my whole point of it is you can't sit back and say the adults are running it, but yet you're spending, what was it? It was over $1 billion, was it not, on the flight suits?
Yeah, I didn't even look at the number.
It was a ridiculous amount of money, and I'm sitting here going, why are we wasting money on that?
Hey, because they're the ones that care. Remember?
I care.
We're the ones.
To the point
we're
where
the ones
I think
trying
the sanctity and the safety of a woman who is pregnant and the child in her.
Hey, again, it could be issues wearing it, just because she works there and in the office, depending on what their hangar setup is. So she's not working on anything, but she has to wear a flight suit. Then at least I could see it in that situation, because that is normal uniform for a lot of those fuckers. And if you were a pregnant woman, you'd be down there like, up to the day before labor working on stuff. You would. You're like, leave me alone, watch this. So I mean, you gotta give them that much. But yeah, the amount of, I just think it's funny that everyone to include, him himself, all this. I don't know how you still support him. I'm not even trying to be mean when I say that, people. I really actually cannot feasibly understand any of it right now. But yeah, like doesn't really make any sense at all. And again, all those people that were barking about, Elon Musk spending money on this, or any billionaire spends this much money on that, you could have ended world hunger and all that. It's funny how you think it's cool to just spend money on all this dumb stuff but we could also be spending it on, I don't know, taking care of our hungry and homeless, and securing schools, and training police officers, and
you can do that,
upgrading military equipment. But we're spending billions of dollars all over the planet. And
that's where I was going to go with it. People think that you can't do that without neglecting anything outside of our country. That is bullshit.
You could do it all.
I want to put something to bed right now. People say that we have to do all of this for these people out here, these people out there, but yet for some reason here in our country, we, like you just said about the homeless thing, we can't address a homeless problem here. We can't address a hunger problem here. I was taught something when I was little, and it's always been beaten in my head since I've grown up, and through my adult years, I still hear it.
That's why you're so
nuts. If you can't take care of yourself, if you cannot maintain your own sanctity for yourself and security for yourself, how are you going to do anything for anyone else? On an individual basis, how can you do that? And then if you go to a country aspect, you got a much larger spectrum, same concept.
I remember.
When you have that going, and you have these policies you put in play, you do this, you do that, you're killing the economy here. You look at it, and then you say, oh, well, we're going to spend between 60 and 70 billion dollars in a matter of 6 months in Ukraine for more than just military assistance. I've said this from the beginning. We signed a commitment with Ukraine for military assistance and security. All we had to do was send them equipment and ammunition. That's it. We don't need to send boots all over NATO territory to do this, that, and everything else. But now if you're going to do that to show strength, there's a way you do that. You don't leave all of the Marine Corps in the United States and then just send some to the northern European countries.
I think it's just a foreshadowing. I think that's the word I'll use. Foreshadowing. Because
that's a whole other conversation I can go into for an hour and a half. But I just have a problem with it, because you have these things you're doing, and then you rip on this, you'll rip on that, but you don't address these things. If we were to stop for 1 minute, all the money we just sent for humanitarian assistance, all the money we just sent for economic and government assistance, all that money we sent for Ukraine, I know people are going to get mad at me for saying this, we should not have sent that. That is money we should not send. And any senator and any congressman or woman that approved that, I do have a problem with them, especially you, Lindsey Graham. I like you, but some of your statements you make and some of the things you follow and are supporting, I am 100% thinking you're stupid about.
Yeah, at least, even though we're outspending all of Europe, even though Europe's all right there, I do say I'm more okay with that than whatever sleazy third world country down in South America where that's where the problem is. Like, so they're trying to, fix the economy so people stop leaving there and fleeing there to come here. Like, so you're going to give the money to a horrifically corrupt government down there, which isn't ever, like, all the money we've ever given them has done nothing. Like, it just keeps getting worse because, those corrupt bastards are just putting it in their pockets. Like, I have a problem with that because we all know exactly where it's going. And all of you nice hoity-toity people, it's not going to make any of their lives better. Have you noticed by how fast they're fleeing all of those countries?
Yeah, and I've seen a report. It
doesn't get better.
I've seen a report from can't remember the guy's name. He's a local reporter between California and Texas.
Wow. Only like,
Yeah, I can't. No, he does. He covers from California to Texas on the border. I can't remember his name though. Anyways, he did some interviews with some Mexican government officials and Mexican Mexican DHS officials, Department of Human Services, what they call it, America. Anyways, moving on. There's people leaving California, the American citizens leaving California, moving to Mexico, buying property in Mexico and living in Mexico. I'm sorry, if your state is so far gone that Mexico is a safer choice, which is controlled by drug cartels, where's the standing there? And that goes back to the point I was just making a minute ago. They want to make things better in South America. Well, the first step you take is putting a wall up on the south side of Panama. You start there, doing that, you're going to, one, stop the shenanigans coming out of South America. Two, once you got that wall up, we can much better manage. Yeah, we can much better manage from Panama to the top of Mexico than we can from the top of Mexico to the south tip of South America. Especially when you have in South America a Russian-backed Venezuelan corrupt government. I'm sorry. If you can't step back and go, okay, if we can get these people out of the picture, we can address this and solve this. Well, the wall up right there. Then you address your problems between that wall and our southern border, and guess what you're going to take care of? A drug cartel. But all the money we waste daily, what did we figure that out was a few weeks back? It was almost close to $500 million a day we spend on illegal immigrants. It costs like $890 some a day just to care for an illegal, unaccompanied minor. For one, over $800 a day. And that's on top of the normal cost of each illegal immigrant. So no one can convince me and say it's safer and cheaper to go the way we're doing it.
Oh.
Everybody blames COVID for smallpox, sorry. Everybody's blaming COVID for monkeypox and that stuff coming back. I don't blame COVID. I blame the southern border. You have uncontrolled flow of massive amounts of people. There's no way they're doing full health tests and background checks and physicals. Hey. They're not doing any testing. There's no way any of that's being done.
It's funny. Yeah, because how it's transmitted, and they're telling people to wear masks. I love that. And there's all people in Southern Africa going, that normally only happens here. So it's because people from there are not getting on a boat and coming over there to then walk their happy asses up here and then cross whatever the hell they want to.
And we're kind of on that topic of security and borders. I also want to point out that now it's not just the southern border we have a problem with. Because our relationship with Canada is on the shit bed.
Well,
Canada's slightly going down the same hill we're going down.
Trudeau sucks.
Now we don't have good relations when it comes to border over there. And guess what's happening? Through New York, you have the same situation going on as the southern border now. Walking across. Just wanted to point that out for America to know what is happening. The border wall was $5 billion to start, would have been paid off the first week of having illegal immigrants come in.
Yeah, so can you stop having to spend all that money? Who are we though?
First full week, they would have been paid off the wall instead of having all the money they spend right now to take care of them.
Yep.
Not to mention they steal formula from our country for our people and give it to them, among other issues.
By the way, no way are we condoning letting them starve once they're in our custody. No child
I feel like
deserves to starve.
Exactly.
I think
not them or our people.
Yeah, they could just I think they could just use their brains and make it so everyone can have some instead of just.
And for a month now, you've heard senators saying there's no reason why we can't have what is it called? I think it's called chaperone ship movements, where they can escort all the way through, go to Ukraine, get all the grain, come all the way back out. Because then you got a bunch of multilateral countries involved and you have all these different naval things going on. If you're taking an escort with a bunch of different countries' navies going through there, I don't think Russia's going to be dumb enough to attack. And if they are, well, there's enough of you there eliminated. I'm really getting disgusted in the inability of people to make decisions that are for security and safety of all. They want to talk about saving the whole world, global communities, global economics. Well, you're not trying to do anything global when you're not saving the people's food source for the world.
They're just trying to save themselves. All the people that say they're doing all that, they're in power. They know they want to stay in power, and the only thing they care about is themselves. And
I'm going to say this openly, and I really don't care what people say.
We're just numbers.
Any person that dies from starvation after February 24th of 2022, all fault for them. Every single one of them falls on the Biden administration. I don't care what country it was in, it falls on Joe Biden's administration, not just him.
There's a lot of idiots in there.
I said other countries too.
I was saying there's a lot of idiots in there. The way everyone handled this is just, the whole thing is just pathetic. It wasn't really a response. It's just a bunch of words.
They want to talk about inflation, and that's another thing. Inflation. They're going to let that shit get so high.
8.6.
And then they're going to want to kick the rates up. But by the time they do this, when they do finally kick the interest rates up, they're going to kick it up more than it's going to be feasible for most Americans.
Yeah, it went up a quarter and was up half. I think right now they're contemplating 3/4 of a point. Like, that's just going to keep, like, I love it. I love it.
Sorry, but once you get past, like,
everyone, like,
I'm saying, once you get past 5.5% or 6% interest, it's over. That you're going to go into a depression.
Well, we're all right there.
Not a recession.
We're right there. They haven't figured it out yet.
Yeah, we're in the recession already.
I just think I just still love, again, people that, it all comes back to the support him still. And that Joe Biden, when he literally made a speech saying that since he took office, families are, carrying less debt and they have more money in savings. I don't know anyone that has any of that. In fact, I know a lot of people that lost 401ks, have tanked, like all kinds of stuff has gotten.
My stock is tanked.
I know my
savings because of him is gone.
I know my current situation right now, and I'm not. No, sorry, guy. It's like, I know there's great wage growth because they're paying people $bajillion just to get them to go back to work, but
my thing of
inflation outdid wage gains by 3%, which means everyone actually took a 3% pay cut, no matter how much more money you're giving them because of inflation. And yes, inflation is a problem all over the world. There's like 11 countries that are worse than us. Russia and the people over there dealing with all that right now are most of those countries.
You know what's sad? Germany. Let's talk about that since we're on inflation. Germany is way more dependent on Russia than we've ever been. And with that being said, Germany's inflation rates are lower than ours.
Yeah, and they get all kinds of stuff from energy.
I want to ask one question in regards to that. They say we have the lowest inflation in the world. Well, no, because you're gonna have to explain to me how Germany, who is going to be way more screwed in this situation with Russia, has a lower inflation rate than we do.
Yeah, there's only 11.
It doesn't make sense.
Yeah, there's only 11 worse than us out of like Yeah, last I looked,
out of 189.
that was a couple. It was a couple of weeks ago. Like, there's some that are way, way worse than us. But I'm pretty sure last time I looked at it, even Russia did have a lower inflation rate than we did. And look at everything happening to them right now and all that. Like,
look at Israel. Israel through all of the last 10 years. Let's just say it. I'm gonna be open. The last decade, as much shit as Israel has went through, their inflation rate is by far lower than ours.
yeah, like, so it might be a world problem, but ours is much larger than a lot of the world. Hell, our gains just from year over year is higher than most countries in the world whole entire rate right now. So all the people
for our country,
it's a world problem. It is. Everyone has inflation, but we gained more than most people have.
There's African countries with better inflation rates.
Just year over year, our gain from where we were to where we were went up more than a lot of countries have, which is a problem because we're way higher than all of them. It might be a problem, but we have a huge problem. So please stop making that argument. You sound kind of stupid. When I say you sound kind of stupid, look at our rates compared to everyone else. Guess what? Everyone has problems coming out of pandemics and everything else, and all the money everyone spent. No one could do anything because they shut the whole world down. Yeah, at least according to most people. Airplanes were still flying. Boats were like, everyone was. I know Hannah flew back and forth across the country twice. So did Crystal. She went down over to up to Seattle. Guess what? Trains, planes, and automobiles were still moving around all over the place. Trucks were still delivering things, which means fuel was still being used. Just because you lived somewhere where you couldn't leave your house, some of us didn't. And we got to go and actually do things. So you can keep blaming that for the gas prices too. It's a supply and demand thing. And then it turned into the greedy bastards. Well, this is what happens after the whole world turns back on. Like planes, trucks, like all the things that burn lots of gas and diesel and all that, like they were still moving. People were still flying, like all those things. Like, believe it or not, everyone, red states didn't shut down. I mean, some things shut down, but you could still go to stores and parks and doctor's appointments, and like you could still go and do things. If airplanes were flying clear across the country, still doing all that, like there was still a lot of fuel getting used. So
the only thing you can really do,
you sound stupid.
For the first 8 months of the pandemic in Michigan, you could go to a gas station. Kind of difficult because of the whole pandemic thing. You were able to go to a grocery store. You were able to go on top of those. You go to a hospital. Outside of those three things, nothing was allowed to happen in Michigan.
Yeah, we were. I mean, a lot of sit-down restaurants, just chose to close down because it was just do takeout because it was easier than all the stuff. I know the Angry Ginger. I still went in there and ate at least twice.
You still have restaurants do that. All they do is takeout.
So there was a lot of, but everything like those buildings were still using electricity and were still open, and people were still driving there, and people were still driving to get their food, which means power stations were using fuel. And in fact, they'd be using more because everyone was home all the time, which means that all the stuff when a lot of people weren't allowed to do anything, like when you looked at New York City and it was a ghost town, like they were still like pumping up more electricity, which means power stations were burning more fuel, which means all like that was still all happening.
Yeah.
So you're saying it's because the world turned back on.
If you want to say the world turned back on, well, okay, we'll blame that. But then there's the real blame is not going to be on that still. Because if it was when the world turned back on, the people in charge of those entities in the world are responsible for the way we turn things back on. Just throwing that out there. And when we were turning back on, it was way after Inauguration Day.
And I hate to break it to you. Well, I mean, blue states, red states, we were open the whole, like we had people back in like schools here before Inauguration Day.
Well, I was referring to the whole country.
Yeah, like in school, but people were again, like, what do you think powers all those power plants? Like fuel is still getting used. And if it was because the world turned back on, We did that well over a year ago. The price shouldn't still be going up like diesel, which is at 555, which is down here. I know it's probably, I don't even want to know. Don't tell me. I don't want to hear the number. It'll just piss me off. And I'm having a good morning. Monster's kicking in. I can see clearly now. The rain isn't gone, but I can see clearly now.
It's kind of back along the lines of inflation too, but my car prior to Joe Biden taking office never cost more than $44 to fill up.
Oh yeah, I don't even want to talk about that.
From not an empty tank to fill up, say from I think it was between an 8th and 3/16. It cost me $80 the other day.
Between an 1/8 and 3/16. Huh? Not a quarter. Yeah, but just not so much here, but right here at an 1/8 to 3/16.
Sorry, some of us are sticklers for details.
Yeah, like it's killer. Like that's why like I think she finally even agreed. She's still like, we're gonna go to PA for the 4th of July. We're going to PA for. I'm like, you said gas prices hit a certain point, you're walking to work. Work's 3.5 miles away. What I know what gas prices are up there. I'd rather not us blow $200 just on gas. Plus, actually, I'd rather not, like, because by the time it still cost me 60 something to fill up here. And my first stop up there, no matter what's always about a little bit higher, 20, 30 cents, whatever. And then Pennsylvania is even normally higher than that. And then I have to do it all like that's like 60 will turn to like 80, 90. And yeah, so there's like I'm not spending $300.
That's what sucks about here.
I'm not spending $300 on gas. I don't care how much money we're saving staying at my parents' house. That's $300 just for gas. Doesn't include in case something stupid happens again. Like, and I don't care what any of those idiots say. People like, Drew. I know I have to keep throwing him under the bus, but he actually throws himself under the bus. That says, once again, like, I don't care. I can afford as much gas as I want. It doesn't affect me. Like, Drew, I hope you're not listening to this. I swear to God, I'm telling everyone right now, it's not a threat. But if I'm ever inside of 3 feet of him, and he says that, don't worry, everyone. I do not own any firearms, so I cannot shoot.
Well, hold on. In regards to him,
I can just.
Does he not drive a truck for a living?
Oh yeah, he's like, the company pays for the fuel. Don't worry. I told him before it all happened. I said, "What, gas and diesel are going to go so high? What, your employer isn't going to want to keep paying for all that gas?
Exactly.
Like, sooner or later, you guys are going to be out of business."
So,
and I will be right there when you lose your job, going, I'll go to PA and find him. Be like, what? And who was it that said you would be, because fuel prices were? Oh wait, what? I was right again, buddy. Give him a little pat on the back. Give him a pat on the back and walk away.
He believes it.
Oh, he told me.
He needs to go to his employer and say, "Are we hurting because of our policies in this country right now?"
He told me I was full of shit. He said it'll never happen. Well, that's crazy.
I want him to go ask his boss. I guarantee if he asked his employers, they would say, "Yeah."
He doesn't care.
Better yet, he should ask him, "Is my job in jeopardy?"
He can look at all. I mean, look at all the. Hey, again, I'm just going to leave it at. He said nothing is going to happen, no matter how many things keep happening. He says I'm still crazy. You're the textbook definition of insanity, all of you. No, I'm not Nostradamus. I'm not some
and I think
creature. I'm just a guy that's seen a thing or two and was paying attention years ago. Didn't just turn on CNN one day and go automatically turn into Orange Man bad and think that everyone that supports him is a racist, skinhead, Klansman, asshole.
I'll tell you what, I'm going to make a statement, and it's going to be like a Ronald Reagan statement. You watch. It's going to come true in 20 or 30 years, or less even probably now because of how it's going. Our problems in this country all boils down to what I consider one main problem. Stupid. Our country has a serious accountability issue.
Oh, yeah.
Because if we had just that one thing in our society, in this country, we just had accountability. It would make every individual have to give at least 10% at their job every single day, or they'd lose it. But with no accountability, you have people that work, and I'm going to use them as an example because they're one of the examples. You got the VA.
Hell, it took
You
Trump.
can have a patient advocate go out of his way to make sure you don't get health care, and he still keeps his job.
Hey, shit! At one point, until Trump signed the bill, like it was illegal. You couldn't even fire VA doctors employees, even if they weren't literally doing anything. You couldn't fire them, like they were protected.
If you're in a blue state, it's still like that.
You know, VA people suck. I always tell Hannah, like, don't worry, the VA. Why? You don't have to do anything. What?
And then
you're guaranteed.
Another example. I'm going to use you as an example.
At least in some, there are some actual good VA systems. I just happen to not.
Onslow County justice system.
No, I don't even want to. No.
See? They're corrupt.
No, they're worthless. That's just worthlessness.
But a shout out to Sergeant Simmons. You're a nice lady. You should probably be in charge of the police department down there. But you're a detective, so I hope at least you're in charge of that. She's a good lady. She helped me out.
And
gave me the information that nobody else would give me.
And Detective Rohr, it'd be great if you
quit your job.
Not even return a phone call, an email, a voicemail I leave.
That boils down to accountability on communication.
Like you could just pick that thing up when you see them. I know you see them. You could respond and we could alleviate the whole time you tried to ruin my entire life because you're incompetent. Just have a brief sit down conversation about your level.
On a side note, in regards to the VA, just a shout out VA. As soon as I'm done with some stuff, I have an outfit that I'm going to start just to take care of your problems.
I have a lot of them. They absolutely.
And also,
suck.
I just want to give another shout out to all the veterans that do listen to our podcast.
This keeps going.
To you, gentlemen and ladies, my group will most definitely protect you over all.
It's coming. Slowly. Surely.
It's coming. And when it does, I will protect every veteran of the United States of America because there's no one out there doing it for us. And just leave it at that because the government wants to be corrupt. And honestly, we can't even take care of our veterans, right? We still have politicians out there screaming, we need full government health care. Canada's been on the fence of getting rid of it for 2 decades.
Yeah, like
they've failed.
Canada
has failed the U.S. of just having one system.
Just the other
Veterans Affairs.
Hey, just the other year, I mean, Canada's health minister, no shit, said that Canada's health system is marginally better than the US's, if at all. Their own guy said doesn't work. They're marginally better, point. If at all. So
and they have their own example in this country of their own entities that can't already do that.
And again, had this conversation with Drew just back when we still actually had conversations before he got all brainwashy and just started fights all the time. Like, so you think it's a good idea for everyone to have to pay for other people's healthcare and then to nationalize it? Like, yeah. Like, but you say it's a crime how the VA treats me and other veterans. Yeah. You do realize who runs the VA, right? Like, yeah. So you think they can't figure out a few million of us, but they should figure out 300 plus million when they can't figure out the 10 people they have now.
They can't even figure out how to go into the office the next day after the end of the month and just hit a button to send a report out.
I think they'll be, yeah, I think like Drew, what? Same people you're always barking after, how bad they treat me. You're right now, ex-girlfriends, grandfather, not like you think they should take care of everyone. Like, do you know how actually stupid, how absolutely just you sound right now?
I'll be honest with you.
I think they can figure out, hey, dickhead, what? They haven't figured out the VA yet. What the hell do you think is going to happen when it goes from this big of a problem? This big of a problem. What? We're all fucked.
And on that note, if the government healthcare system is so good, why do people still want private insurance? That's one part of it. The second part of it is I am extremely grateful that not everybody has to rely on government insurance because the most important man in my life next to my grandfather was Marty, who was my mentor for the auto stuff. That gentleman, had he had government insurance, like Social Security, Medicare, all that, Medicaid, whatever it is, if he had that, he'd be dead. He'd have died from cancer. I just want to point that out. Marty is here because he had good health care, and it was not provided by the federal government of the United States.
Those guys totally suck.
If he'd have had insurance equivalent to ours, he'd die.
Hey, I get super health care. You know, I could see my doctor once every like 9 years. I get a new doctor every 14 months. Yeah. Beautiful health care.
It's better in Ann Arbor. It's every 6 months in Ann Arbor.
Well, that's only for my one. Like, I see my neurologist more than I see pretty much anyone like else, and I'm okay with that. I don't mind the drive to Wilmington. I actually don't want to kick him. Like, I've never had. Dr. Oster's a good dude. Oster, however the hell you pronounce it. I think it's Oster. That's a good dude. But yeah, it's just like you say that they treat us like garbage, but then you want them to treat everyone like they're all so dumb. They all do like, but it's kind of like clockwork. They all bark about it, but then condone it for everyone. And like they're all just puppets, although they're parrots. They just whatever they hear, they just
repeat.
Yeah, like when we saw those people that got caught in the U-Haul, the 21 of them, whatever the hell it was, going to that Pride, event, whatever it was, all ready to do all kinds of dumb stuff. And of course,
it was 21 or 22.
Yeah, and there's everyone on the left. I saw like no matter who it was on my friends list, no one like saying, "Well, good, we got them," because that's what we say. We say, "Well, good, get them. What if they're going to go do stupid? Get them. I don't care who they are." We don't go, but everyone on the left immediately goes, same comments when there goes Trump's voting base. Like you have to stereotype, like you hear it and then you repeat it. Like, again, I don't know any Trump people that condoned anything on January 6th. I don't know any Trump people that condoned those guys going and doing that. Like, we call out the individuals and hold them accountable for being scumbags. You guys just throw all of us into one giant thing. And I saw a great meme the other day. After 9/11, they told us, not to judge all Muslims off the basis of a few crazy people. But yet the left immediately, like when some kind of shooting happens, they immediately go after all gun owners and not just crazy people and criminals, which is the actual problem. Yeah, but again, they all parrot, like they have to just rinse and repeat when it comes to all of that. And I just saw it and it hurt my head. So, like why do you have to just insult everyone? Like, yeah, let me tell you what, his whole entire base is a bunch of like, and again, everyone with Witless and all the other attempts at everything. Go and look none of them supported Trump, actually. None of them. They all didn't like his ass either. Just like Antifa after it happened. The inauguration and Joe won, they're out there just mauling Seattle and stuff. And they're all and there's Drew going, what? But they supported him. They wouldn't do it. Like, no, they're just anarchists. That's literally their whole entire purpose. They don't give about any of them. They don't like none of them. And the sooner everyone figures that out and actually deals with them, the sooner all the stupid would stop. But everyone's divided and just plays games. And, well, here we are.
Newt Gingrich said the other day, and a guy that was from Obama's administration said it too, that it's basically unavoidable to get a landslide red fall election this November. So with that being said, if the Obama people were saying it,
MSNBC admitted that like 3 months ago.
If they're admitting that, there's no way that the Republicans should lose. They should flip both the House and the Senate this fall. With that being said, if they don't, they've blamed everybody for being this, that, and everything else. They're going to see a true revolt in this country. You're going to piss off a lot of people. Like, that is not going to sit in this country. I'm just pointing that out. And I really am fearful of it because our government right now does everything they can to go out of their way to change something that's legitimate. The administration in charge of our federal government does go out of their way right now to change things that work for this country. I'm just saying. They want to continuously get rid of Title 42 without something to put in place of it, which I agree. Title 42 is a temporary emergency measure. I agree with it. Got to get rid of it. Cool. I'm all for that. But what are you going to use to replace it? Because if you have nothing, then yes, all these judges that keep it in play, you know why they're keeping it in play? Because you have nothing to replace it with. That's legitimate. You could take one step to end it, build a border wall. I guarantee every judge then would say, yeah, we don't need this.
But we don't need this from the day the wall gets done. When that last piece is done, then we don't need this.
But that's what I'm saying. Like, everybody wants it gone. Well, one simple solution: build the rest of the wall. We've been over it numerous times on our show. There's only 542 miles roughly. No, sorry, 452 miles roughly that shouldn't be fenced because it would destroy mountains, which that I understand. And plus, honestly, the amount of work that you would have to put in to go and make it so you could build on those mountains is not worth the time nor the money. In fact, like, it'd be retarded. So I agree with that. Don't fence that section. But the other 1,600 miles of the fence that are of the border that could be covered in a wall. Don't give me a line of shit and say it couldn't, because outside of that 452 approximate miles, it's flat fucking land. Get off your high horse. Oh, and while we're on the topic, this goes right into that wall. Another thing that it would do, it would keep people who work for our public safety in some form or fashion be a little more protected from the government going and bringing up corrupt charges against people riding horseback at the border. I seen that yesterday on the news. They're going to charge them. They're going to charge people over that. They're going to hold them accountable, the federal government. Well, guess what? Now I have a real problem with it, because those guys are doing their jobs. Those reins have to be used like that for the horse. That's how you guide and steer horses. That's how you control their speeds and stopping. Everything is done through those reins. Anyone knows anything about horses? You don't have to ride horses. You just got to be familiar with horses, and you know that. Again, accountability is not there.
Hey, they're going to hold them accountable, though.
That ain't accountability.
Never.
That is not. That's socialism.
Oh, I know. No, but they have to do something. It's like, say, look what we did to these guys. Yeah, look what you did to Scheller. Never mind the guys that left a couple $100 billion worth of equipment behind it. Nothing's ever happened from that. Hillary,
it'll be interesting. That's for sure.
Hillary and her emails and her private server. Let's go with Obama and Fast and Furious. There's a lot of stuff. No one got held accountable.
And I like that nobody is still talking about the guy trying to kill Brett Kavanaugh last week.
Hey.
Nobody talking about it.
Hey, I'm
talking about.
Oh, I know.
Media wise.
I know I'm not important enough for you to listen to me. I know, but brought it up on Monday. Like all this insightful, but no, you don't hear word one about that. No one's going after Chuck Schumer, Mr. You have unleashed the whirlwind, and you won't see it coming.
Yeah.
I mean, that is
him and Maxine Waters.
We're coming for you. You have unleashed the whirlwind, and you won't see it coming. Well, guess what? Someone was going to his house with a gun, knife, handcuffs.
I just want to put it this way. If I walked down with 1,000 people to City Hall here in Jackson and stood in front of those 1,000 people and said, when they do this, you physically hurt them, I'd be going to prison.
Hey, her telling them to get in their everyone's face and let them know they're not welcome here anymore. Yeah, but that is, or
I'm referring to both of them.
If you don't like the verdict, what? Burn the city to the ground and get more confrontational with the cops during the whole Rittenhouse trial. Like, yeah, because already, like, that is an incitement, though. That is using your First Amendment right, freedom of speech. But I look at someone and tell them to go themselves on the internet, and I get thrown off the internet because that's hate speech. Like, you just told them to get more confrontational and fight the cops and everyone, but national government, whoever they are, get more confrontational, dickish with them. That's completely fine. Even after, we're coming for you and you won't see it coming. That's fine. Go yourself. That is unacceptable. Like, cool. What? This is the world we live in. Thank you. Land of confusion.
Also,
no offense to the original Land of Confusion. What Disturbed did it.
In regards to accountability and messed up thought processes, I've heard some make a statement the other day that Nikki Haley is potentially in the slate for 2024 presidential nomination. I hate to break it to people, but if they think Nikki Haley will get a nomination outside of Trump before DeSantis or Mike Pompeo, people are slightly off base, off cue.
It all depends on everyone, what they're doing, though.
I'm just saying, like, if the slate wise, there's no way. I'm not degrading Nikki. I like Nikki Haley. She's good at what she did.
She was a governor too. I remember.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, she's good at what she's done. I'm not disagreeing. I won't take that from her.
I liked listening
But
to her.
DeSantis and Mike Pompeo have a broader mindset that's more beneficial, more applicable to the presidential slate.
I just liked, and Rick Scott, when he put out that ad saying that, Biden needs to resign. Like him, I only know who they are really. I mean, because I get lots of hurricanes, so I just sit there and watch the Weather Channel going, like, I don't care what you say, Governor. By the way, they were the ones that actually made sense through a lot of this DeSantis. Like you listen to the ones up farther north you get, the more you're sitting there listening to it going.
The further north you go, the more your head's like.
But yeah, like so they were good for all of that. But those are the three, crazies that are there. It depends, again, the climate, Pompeo and all of them, like, I don't know, he seems to be kind of enjoying not having to deal with all the stupid right now. But again, that could drastically change in 2 years. A lot can happen in 2 years, unless you're dealing with the VA. Nothing happens in 2 years. Nothing at all. You'll die before it happens. And then they'll go, oh no, you were next in line. Oh, like, I know. But yeah, like I think she would just, timing of it just isn't.
I mean, and that's the other part of it. Timing wise, Trump has an extra term he could still run for. And I honestly think if you look at just the midterm elections alone, just off of his backing percentage, who's winning, confident in saying it's probably going to run again in 2024 without complications.
And dear mainstream media, just because we have like his winning percentage right now, it's over double what Biden's approval rating is right now, and that's in y'all's polls, which are horrifically skewed on your side, and you still can't get good numbers. That's where you should be paying attention. But I don't think I mean, it would make sense if she did, but I think she should just wait and see who wins and then get another like diplomatic position where she's dealing with like UN or something like she did under Trump, just to get more, to do all of that and get more time with all of that stuff. No offense, I'm not saying anything bad about her. Again, she did a good job as a governor. She didn't hurt my head. I liked their hurricane briefings. Jim Cantori, there you go. That's the name that I lost in the midst of all that. I just watched the Weather Channel to see like what he's in Wilmington, North Carolina. Everybody was like, what does that mean? Fucked. Like Jim Cantori's there. What he's the guy that's getting just bamboozled. But yeah, I don't think she should. Again, we'll see where it is in next couple years. A lot of stuff can change.
Speaking of Jim Cantrell,
Cantori,
he stops working there.
Jim Cantori, but and now we got another thing that I want to close it out with. But I did when I just saw it like earlier. Well, you were making a cup of coffee. I mean, it's not actually surprising anybody. So if you're alarmed by this, I just want to know where the hell you've been lately. But a report says that Ben and Jerry's employees are being forced to watch anti-Israel videos, and we all know their stance on Israel. Yeah, but yeah, like good on you guys for showing that you're actual pieces of excrement. That's why I do not buy your ice cream. I mean, I really don't buy ice cream, but because you can go
thyself. Can afford to buy ice cream right now.
You can go yourself. Like Israel's the only like decent country we have in the Middle East. Only one that doesn't want to kill us.
I wouldn't say that. Iraq doesn't. Well, the Iraqis don't want us dead.
Yeah, there's some people in Iraq, except the people, the majority of the country that's there.
They like us. Now, there is, just like here, there's certain infections over there, or factions over there.
Now, there's some infections too. They might as well be treated like.
Yeah, there's infections.
Stomp them out. But
there is little groups of people that are bad over there that do hate us with an absolute passion. We know who they are.
Israel's are good guys, really, for us. I mean, yes, there's pieces here and there, but they're the one country too that doesn't have lots.
They were the ones that were responsive over herbal last year, earlier this year.
They're the ones that don't let terrorist groups just train and hole up in their country like it's a homeland. They're like, okay, well, just let them do their thing. Israel's actually like, no, really, well, we're going to blow you off the face of the planet if you do not stop with us. And there's another one that we called, and it took a day or two after Inauguration Day, all hell broke loose. They were even taunting them on Twitter, but apparently our intel was better than yours.
And they're going, and also,
damn, you just blew up a building. What's your response? Apparently our intel was better than yours. Like,
just want to call Joe Biden out for this because he's such a devout Catholic. Where were you when Erbil, Iraq got bombed just a while back? Because that's the only Catholic city in Iraq.
Hey, he was doing more important things like, I don't know, riding his bicycle or eating ice cream, and maybe he's
buying ice cream in Traverse City, Michigan. That was more important.
Maybe they wiped his butt. I don't know. He does very important things. Like not show up to, see anyone from the New York City thing, not show up at the nightclub thing, not show up at the other shooting that was right before that. But you sure as hell believe his ass went when a white guy shot up a bunch of people in Buffalo. He was right there for that. Or Jacob Blake while he was running, who literally shouldn't have been there, restraining order, kidnap. Resisted arrest. I was going for a weapon because he didn't listen. He got shot. And Jacob Blake is a hero, but I shout out to Kyle Rittenhouse, but sue the bejesus out of him.
That's just it right there.
What? He put your face in a campaign ad. What? He doesn't have a leg to stand on when he called you a white supremacist and everything. What? He ran it nationally. What? He is get every dollar you can.
Oh yeah, he will.
Make sure he pays, and the DNC. Make sure the DNC pays for your private security. You're going to need the rest of your life because of them running all those ads and never leaving you alone. But make sure they're paying for it forever, because there's, no matter how you feel about it, their star witness said, yeah, but he didn't even point it at me or do anything until I pointed my gun at his face. Yeah, well, yeah, shocker, he shot you then. Da, 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 da. That's a child molesting felon that had a gun that he was pointing at, that was pointing his gun at Kyle's face.
And admitted to shoot.
Yeah,
to wanting to kill him, right?
Yeah, just in case anyone's confused by that. That's called self-defense with the gun that he legally owned that was already in the city because he had father lived there and his grandparents, and he didn't carry it illegally across state lines, no matter how much the media wants to tell you that. All of those have been debunked, disproven, and anyway, as my brain's still, going around, he shows up to those people. Where was he when we actually need him? Traverse City, Michigan, eating ice cream, or like up in Scranton having a piece.
And the funny thing is
or not even 44 Pennsylvania having a slice of pizza because that's the most important thing in the world. Or like
he's sitting up there eating ice cream in Traverse City, and he knew that he was going to a stable, traditional Democrat city in Michigan. That's why he showed up when he was there, and that lady asked him questions, and he's got to look at his cheat sheet because he knew when he went to that part of the state of Michigan that if he didn't have his shit together, it was going to be known quick. Well, he didn't. Even with the cheat sheet, he still couldn't answer the lady's questions up there at the store.
I mean,
and then he wondered why everybody from there on hated him, because that was before the shitstorm even started.
He's terrible at that stuff. I mean, I haven't listened to the new press secretary, really. I mean, I heard that she's like 1,000 times worse than Jen.
Oh my God. Yeah. She was asked about the formula stuff yesterday. She looked and looked and looked. She had nothing. I don't mean to be rude, but that's a legit problem, like legit what's the word I'm looking for? Existential problem. Like that's threatening our livelihood.
Yeah.
And you don't have anything on what?
That's because they don't care. But
I wish Jackie Hendrick would have let loose on that one. She should not have backed up.
Like today, bitch.
Yeah.
Like, no offense, what we don't have all day. But at least we know. At least we know what we all thought.
Here not getting formula ski. There's people legit
like down here too.
Large quantities of people in this area not getting.
Oh, I got it was a text from StarMed because I opted into it when we had to go get COVID tested, and she was positive twice. I felt like death, but I was negative both times for all the tests. So go yourself. My body told COVID to go. It told my lungs and breathing to go self, but I told that test to eat one. But StarMed sent out a text to everyone that opted in that they're doing, I think it's tomorrow, they're doing a formula, like a free formula thing to anyone that needs any. So they're finally just getting on it for StarMed, but I've been at the grocery stores here and I've seen the shelves, and it's not like there's any for them to just go and give people. So, but they don't care about real problems. Again, I'm not trying to get, we talk about it enough every week, but Afghanistan, they were warned for what, 4 or 5 months, didn't do anything. Baby formula shortage, that was back in September. They used Afghanistan. Suddenly they had the shipping problem, they had this supply chain problem that they said they put a group together like the day of inauguration, but immediately they didn't mention it until Afghanistan went to hell. And suddenly there was their big distraction. Oh, we were working on it for like 7 months. You're doing something now after 7 months. Like before you, what you do realize it takes like, you can sit down and follow the leaders in like a day and figure out what the problem is and how to fix it. Like, this is what we need. Okay, got it. But that's a couple day problem, not a 7 months and millions of dollars of people just staring at each other with their thumbs up there.
That goes back to people just giving 10% a day of life.
It's just, they don't like to really jump on anything. It's like, we always hear about things like we know about it, and then they finally say something like 6, 7, 8 months later. Like, if I had that reaction time, holy shit. But not trying to beat the dead horse.
Well, in the real world, a reaction time like that's unrealistic and unacceptable. I mean, if you were dealing with, like, I don't want to give an example here. If you were a shop dealing with a metal company and they said we have a supply problem and it took you 6 months, I want to go that far. Let's split that in half. If you took 3 months to deliver that steel, I assure you, you wouldn't get another order from that business again.
No, they're even still there.
Saying, in the real world, those timelines and those mindsets, they don't function.
Work,
and there's no place for them.
It doesn't. And I mean, that's what we're dealing with. I mean, literally, please try to tell me something that they handled right away, because the border doesn't exist to them at all. The drug thing isn't a problem, even though we jumped 22K overdose deaths.
I can tell you something that worked immediately on.
What?
Donald Trump.
Well,
that's the only thing.
They're just getting
back. Have a positive to come out of that. So
they're just getting back into him. Like, literally, though. Afghanistan, you can't say they did it well. The border, they still haven't done anything. The drug deaths, they're not doing anything. In fact,
I'll get back. He did do another thing that he promised during his campaign. He's destroying the fossil fuel industry.
As he said, there's no way there's going to be a place inside of it. He said it, his words, not mine. Anyway, though, but
that's only for his base. His base.
There's, sorry. I mean, you can't name, like, border, nothing. Again, with immigration, they just keep pumping more money. They're not trying to fix anything. They're giving money to the government of El Salvador.
And still doing the late night flights.
El Salvador is known for being a straight shooting government, to say the least. They did.
Somalia has a better government than that.
But again, like, OD deaths jumping 22K from 2020 to 2021, over 100,000 for the first time ever. Man, 22,000. It jumped over a quarter. That's a lot of a jump. Nothing about that. Afghanistan, supply chain, baby formula. It just takes them.
They blame everything on Afghanistan. Well, who was at fault for Afghanistan?
They blame everything on Putin after that. The Putin price hike. We're already up over like 6%, with over 7%, I believe, for inflation before any of that happened. And gas prices were already almost doubled, Dick.
There was
how is it his problem? What? They were already terrible before any of this started.
I wish I printed it off.
And is he helping the world? No, but dear God, people need to be held accountable for something. Hold them accountable for one thing. If I said half the shit he did, I'd be thrown off the air.
Thrown in jail. He said half the shit some of those guys say. Well, where I was going to go with that is I seen a couple of graphs the other day, and I kind of wish I'd printed them off. But one of them was about inflation, and it had a timeline of from October of 2020 till now. And it showed the inflation in events. And only like 1.8% of it was in regards to Putin. The other 5 or something like that was in the middle was all during Joe Biden's first year of tenure.
Yeah, and people, guess what? For everyone saying,
the same for gas prices.
I'm just hating.
The chart was actually worse for gas.
I'm just hating. I'm just hating on them because like, I just have a brain, and I do admit that the stimulus packages, that first one, where they put all kinds of wasteful stuff in there and they refused to sign it if they didn't put wasteful stuff in there, like, that did not help. The rest of this,
like the money that Lindsey Graham called him out for, given to Kennedy Center, he said, I love this place. On a debate, he said, I absolutely love this place, but they gave me money they shouldn't have.
Why did they need $1 billion when they were closed?
Well, their very first packaging, right off the gate, they got $400 million.
Yeah, so I'm saying they got like $1 billion and they were closed.
And that's what he was saying. Like, I love this place, but you guys got money you shouldn't have.
Like everyone was just, and you know, like that did play a part in it. Like,
and nothing.
It wouldn't have been nearly as bad if all that stupid was taken out and they just gave us checks like they wanted to do. We'd be less mad. But go back and read some of the people that got like gender studies in Pakistan in the middle of COVID, got money in a COVID relief bill. Why the hell did Pakistan need money for gender studies, especially when they're harboring Al Qaeda and ISIS and all those people for, you know, years? Why the hell are we giving them money in the first damn place? But that's,
I wouldn't even go that
another argument for another day.
If you're going to make that statement, I wouldn't even go that far in depth with it, because I wouldn't use a single example. I would say that
sure,
there was a metric ton of entities outside of this country that got money out of that COVID relief bill. I'm sorry, the COVID relief bill that we were writing was for our country. So why did anything outside of our country even get money out of it? I don't even want to talk about the Kennedy Center. I want to talk about the shit outside of our country. I'm sorry, no.
We gave money to all kinds of people, but again, if we start, we're never going to stop. So my last thing, and no, I'm not bashing on it. I'm not being some kind of ass before everyone goes and jumps on my case for saying it. And again, I think they should have their month. Look, Pride Month, have it, whatever. If it makes you happy, it can't be that bad. If it makes you happy, why the hell are you so sad? You're welcome. Good song. But like, why did like Pride, they get a whole month, veterans get a day. People we lost, Memorial Day, they get a day. And you can go, it's all, you know, October's, because Hannah looked it up, like October's like, you know, Veterans Month. So what we see, like sports people put out different, you know, camouflaged hats and uniforms and stuff to, you know, but they make money off of that. We don't see Taco Bell and Trackhouse and all the major anything changing their logos and putting rainbows everywhere, making commercials about how much, you know, like doing all of that, because I'm not against it. No one cares. Kidding. But again, they should have their time, but yeah, I don't like. Hey, you didn't have to say anything. Now it's awkward. It's weird when you say something as you're walking away, because no one would have known if they're listening if you just got up and left. They just would have wondered why I was rambling. But yeah, I just think that, yeah, no one, like everyone should, if you're gonna do it, like look at Black History Month. Look how much exposure you see all over the place, whether it's corporations anywhere doing commercials and all that stuff for it. It's like Pride Month. It's like everything else. Why, like, we don't get all of, like, I didn't, like, who knew that, you know, veterans even had a month, like, because no one talks about it. No one goes out of the way to do anything for them. Breast cancer awareness, again, they deserve their month. That one's actually really, really important, something that should happen. I just want to know why everyone else gets all these big months, and you couldn't even tell me when Veterans Month was, except for people changed, you know, their uniforms in sports to sell to people, which then they make, you know, lots of money off of. You might give some to charity, but, you know, they're still lining their pockets. They wouldn't be doing it if they weren't, which, you know, is a supersized cluster, you know what. And I just wish that would be handled better, because I mean, veterans, like, they're the reason that, like, there's a lot of us. We've done a lot of things, volunteered to do a lot of things that so many other people by the millions wouldn't do. Like, there's a reason, especially in the Marine Corps, special place in my heart. I will, yeah. Once a Marine, always a Marine kind of thing. But, you know, I think we deserve more recognition than we do. And I mean, hell, Kamala Harris in the first year told everyone to enjoy their long weekend for Memorial Day, and didn't mention why it was happening or why we have it. So she told everyone to enjoy their long weekend. She actually mentioned it a little this year, but most people don't even know Memorial Day. They don't care. And a lot of people, no one can deny that to me. I've seen it enough times. We care, but so many younger generations don't at all. And I just honestly think we deserve more than a day. And again, you could say whatever you want about Veterans Month. I didn't know that, October was our whole entire month, unless you saw sports teams put out different jerseys, which they then sell and take most of the money and line their own pockets. They give some to charity, but most of it goes to line theirs. And we don't get corporations changing all their logos, putting out a million commercials for us like you see for Black History Month, Pride Month, and again, breast cancer awareness. I'm okay with that. There's some people that put out t-shirts and stuff and give all the money to Susan G. Komen to try to figure it out. So again, that one's a really special, that one deserves its month. So we could try and finally, figure out the whole breast cancer thing. I'm okay with, that. But
sorry about that.
No one would have known.
I was going to say something before that.
No one would know if you just shut up. Like, you just got to say you made it awkward.
The holiday stuff. I love how we have to promote so heavily the Pride Month stuff. We have to do Black History Month, all of this. We have Martin Luther King Day off. We have Juneteenth, whatever that is, off.
It's a day. It's a date that slavery ended, I do believe. Okay. So, which, guess what? That should have been celebrated a very long time ago, because that was. That's a good slavery.
Well, where I was going with it,
that's a good thing.
All these days that we observe for schools and businesses and this, take these days off and all that. You know which one doesn't get observed? Veterans Day.
It don't matter. Duh. I could have told you that.
Point that out.
That don't matter. We are a number and a system, and they don't even come up with a fancy number. They just mark you down as your social security number. That is your number. We're just
another reason why.
And when we die,
my kids never go to public school.
They still have giant numbers of the. Yeah, it's just. And again, I'm not against any of those months. Let everyone have their damn month. I'm on Morgan Freeman's side. Yeah. Like, do you want White History Month? Well, I'm Jewish. Fine. Do you want a Jewish History Month? No. Well, why the hell should I want a Black History Month? I think that was with Chris Wallace. What wasn't it? Do you want one of those? No. Well, why should I? Like, I don't want one either. Like, Morgan Freeman.
Well, he's also the
with
guy.
Black History Month. Like,
he's also the same guy that said the only time there's racism is if you put racism.
Yeah. And by the way, the people that
you bring it up and you talk about it, then it's there. If you shut your mouth and quit, it's not in existence no more. Shut your mouth, then there you go.
There's always racists everywhere. We're not saying that, no matter what. But look how much more prevalent it's gotten, let's say, since the Obama years, where the second you didn't agree with something he said, you were just automatically labeled a racist. And you do realize all the people that are calling all of us racist are the ones that see race in literally everything. Like, everything. Everything. It's the racist. Like, those are racists. I am not a racist. I just don't like idiots. And that is not a race. Idiots come in all shapes, sizes, skin colors, genders, sexual orientations, religious beliefs.
Yeah, so I
professions.
People go, "Oh, you just don't like that person. You just hate that person." No, I dislike all equally.
Yeah, I'm an equal opportunity disliker. If you're stupid,
I dislike that idiot just as much as I dislike that idiot. There's no prejudice there.
I dislike all blatant stupid. If you're misinformed and you let us have a conversation, and even if we don't agree at the end, even though you listen and you understand everything, then what? Oh, hominus dominus. But those that are just like, there's some that, I'm sorry, you're just actual idiots. And you can see the truth, and no
way to avoid it.
But you still don't want to believe the truth, that are on the side of the untruth. But you're an idiot. You're part of the problem. You are the problem. Amen to that. But yeah, again though, I'm okay. I just, no offense, like Veterans Day, everyone works. Memorial Day, everyone knows they have a long weekend. Most people probably couldn't tell you why we have Memorial Day. The younger generation, they don't care. No offense to them. No offense to them, but they have a mental like nuclear meltdown when you call them by the wrong pronoun.
And you know what's sad about
I will call you thing. What? Come here. I'll treat you like we did in the Marine Corps. What? Come here, thing. What? There's your pronoun. You are all things.
It's wrong. It boils down to, it doesn't matter what color you are. It doesn't matter what part of the country you're from. If you're stupid, you're stupid. If you're smart, you're smart. I've talked with people, Ski, before, and they're like, "How do you know this kind of stuff? Like, what? How do you know?" I'm like, "Well, one, I read and pay attention.
There's this thing called
Two, when I listen to people, I literally listen to them. If I can't hear them, I'll get transcripts or I'll turn closed caption out, or sometimes I even do both. It doesn't take much. It goes back to what I said earlier, and it just takes, give 10% in life every day, and I promise you the world would be a better place. If every single human just gave 10% a day.
Yeah, everyone says I'm bad. Like there's, again, I'm just going to close it out on Drew. I don't know why you care about that stuff. Read the bills. It's all I get. What I get gas doesn't affect me. Like when they say they're doing this to save us, what I'd love to see what they're actually doing to do any of it.
You should ask them. Is it that you can get it, it doesn't affect you, or the fact that you're just too stupid to realize it affects you because financially you can't afford it? You may be able to get the gas, Drew, but if you financially are going to hurt from it, which he will soon.
Sooner or later, but like what? I kept telling him, what, sooner or later, it will. Like what? But it's already crushing the low, the middle, the lower class, and the people way below. Like it's crushing people on fixed incomes. Like it's killing them, literally.
And for the people who say it doesn't affect them, you can always just ask them this question and watch what their answer is. How much is your food bill now compared to what it was a year ago?
That's really
because they think it doesn't affect them. Anyone that buys groceries, which is every living human being in this country, you're affected.
Like, yeah, but hey, he says I can still afford it, so I don't care. Like, well, there's millions of people that are struggling right now. So
I make more money than I'm struggling.
And they don't respond. And that's their answer to everything. They just don't respond to anything. And then, or it turns into just, a nuclear meltdown because heaven forbid we just actually talk like adults anymore. Like it's not that hard. But, there's people that that you're friends with that are struggling. So, and then they turn around and say that we're all narcissistic.
That's your grandma. Garbage. Let's go to your grandma and ask her if she's struggling. Anyone out there? Just go to your grandmother and ask her if she's struggling. And if you don't have a grandmother, go to your aunt and ask her if she's struggling.
Take that. Discovery Plus. I already canceled you. You will not charge me. Ha ha ha. Take that reminder. But yeah, it doesn't affect me. Like there's people that you know and love that right now. Like think about someone besides yourself. Like the stuff that all the stuff we said was going to happen is happening. It's affecting all of us. And the only person you care about is yourself. And then you turn around and call me a narcissist. And my response is, some reason I don't think you actually know what that word means. Why? Because you're saying, because your exact words were, it doesn't affect me, so I don't care. Yeah, me. And that's the problem. That's a me,
me, stupid statement.
Me. Guess what? Sooner or later, what the things that little things, but you should be mad about that affect all kinds of other people. Sooner or later, it becomes a really big problem, and then you're even screwed. And then you're going to be mad, and then I'm going to walk up and actually just headbutt you.
And one more statement:
hard as I can, skadoosh.
If I don't want to say this
carefully,
I want to say it carefully. Exactly.
Delicately.
If you think it's not affecting you, that statement on its own is an ignorant statement. And when I say it's an ignorant statement, I mean you clearly don't know what you're asking or talking about, or you haven't had the opportunity to learn exactly what it means to be affected by inflation. That's an ignorant statement. When you add the second part to his statement and say, but I can afford it, so it doesn't really matter to me, that is an arrogant, stupid statement. I just want to point out the difference. For the people who say it's not affecting me and they don't understand it, that's one thing. That's ignorance. Because it just means you either don't understand or you haven't been taught.
Or they just don't care.
If you make the other part of that statement like the people like Drew do, that is pure stupidity and arrogance.
Hey, and here's a good one. You just, this is literally where I'm leaving it, people. Sorry, but you literally just closed it perfectly. If you're one of those people and you think, let's just end the sentence there. If you're one of those people and you think, actually, none of you seem to. So
that's the ignorance part of it.
If you think
stupid people who follow up with the other side of that.
If you think please you need a hug or something. If you think I got it, damn, I've done some serious damage to my brain. So if that's you thinking and trying, God damn, have mercy on your soul.
Exactly.
You're welcome, America. I'm always here for more. So I'm leaving it at that. Yeah.
All I got left to say is be a good human and give 10%.
Don't be a dick. But thank you, watching, listening, everyone. Again, videos are up on Facebook, YouTube, Rumble, and Cloud Hub just because he's here. So I give him, the Facebook page gets it. Follow along on all of them. It doesn't actually take that long. Even if you're just listening, you can go find me on there, hit the subscribe button, like the video. Just that much right there helps people to see it, and it to pop up easier and stuff. So it takes 3 seconds. I do it for all of you that have shows.
Yep.
Especially if you're a family member or loved one. Seeing that number that stagnant when it takes 3 seconds almost offends me because I know how hard it isn't. I have a phone. I know how quick it is to get on YouTube. But regardless, thank you for everyone on Good Pods, especially. Thank you. I like seeing that number where it is. Not beating Crowder this week, but it's Crowder. I don't know how the hell I was in front of him one way. I looked on there, it has to be live. Why?
In front a couple times we've been up there.
I'm in front of Crowder. We talk Crowder. Okay, what? I'll take it. I think you're lying, but I will take it. And another shout out for Ashley Lana. Check it out on Good Pods. The show Lullaby, the Fear podcast. There's some creepy, trippy stuff on there. Telling you, Walter, you go listen to one of hers. Listen to the real Nightmare on Elm Street. Listen to that one. Listen to the Nightmare on Elm Street. That is creepy as like that. Or the 9-year-old serial killer one. That one, you're just sitting there listening to it going, just because of the lack of anything, accountability or nothing that ever for a while there. But really good show. She does a good job. Sucked me in. So highly recommend that. And that's where I gotta leave it. We'll be back. I'll be back tonight if you're listening to this, doing Justin's Wrestling Roulette that we just started. It's finally on its real time. Wednesdays until something stupid happens again. So it always happens just to piss me off. And then me and Hit Walter will be back with the Racing with Jesse Rudzinski show on Friday, which should be a shorter one, thankfully, because so many people have this weekend off that it's unbelievable. It's a very super quiet weekend for a lot of things, but there's a lot to uncover from last weekend. And normal Jesse Rudzinski show Friday, Wrestling with Ski, a normal one on Friday, covering the rest of the week stuff that's happened. So yeah, it's a busy week and there's lots of stuff. And if you haven't followed on any of those shows I just mentioned, follow those too, especially the racing one, because me and Walter every Friday. It's a good time. But I'll be you know where to find me now. Enjoy the rest of your week. As he said, be a good human being. Please don't be a dick. Like, it's actually not hard. It takes zero effort to be a decent human being. And this is coming from me. Hannah's exact words to me, at least once a week, is, "You are the most miserable human being that I've ever met." But damn, are you like a good human being, and you're kind and you care. Like, what? See what? You can be the most miserable human being someone's ever met and still be a sweetheart and be a good human being, because it's not hard. So until Friday, unless you're watching my show tonight, peace.
Peace.